but all these like people got all these fucking money issues. Like it's like weird. It's like don't make it weird. It's just money. It's not a fucking big deal. Like you know. Oh my god, he stole my money. Like, that's just it's fucking weird. Like they scammed me. Like that's just it's fucking weird to worship money that big. And it's so beneath a child of God to have that kind of fucking weird like freaking out about money so hard. It's ridiculous. If you know who you are, money is like fucking it's like fucking stupid. It's like a nothingness. It's just there as a to serve and support as a channel for stored. It's like stored potential. Is that it represents stored potential that can be deployed in an instant. Like what I was talking about with the pond, you know, that somebody's already been growing. They've been nurturing a pond so money is an idea backed by confidence. So if somebody's been growing a pond, all they've been doing is creating confidence there. So in there's a potential in that storage of confidence, a nurtured pond. There's a potential for money that to be translated into money, which is a container that represents that stored confidence. So well, our currency is an idea backed by faith. It's just a faith in God, and then when the connections are made in our reality, in our realm, it's because prayers have been answered. It's like when I think it was the third law of thermodynamics, about when two things are like harmonizing with each other, and when their two things are harmonizing with a third thing, they're all harmonizing together. It's like it's one thing. So that's where God says, where two or more gathered, there I am. But there's three pieces in that equation. It's not just the two. It's the two connecting to the one. And so when money, when currency happens here, money is exchanged, it's moved. It's because two or more gathered, to where prayers have been answered, but it's all in the name of God. So anytime any money is moved here, it's because we're all saying yes to God, our provider, our source, our creator, our Father, and we're witnessing. When this happens, it's because people have connected to God. Like, our new purpose for money is for people to remember God. That's its only purpose now.
Hallelujah.
I was talking. I think I was talking. Yeah, it was Noel. I noticed that there's this guy. Most of you all know because I watch his videos a lot and tell you about him. But Myron Golden. And Myron Golden, he sells money, and he says, all right, everybody who sold on money, you want money? Okay, you want $1 million? Okay, great. Give me $100,000. I'm gonna give you $1 million. And then he sells them the money, but then he gives them God. He says, all right, now here's how you're gonna get it. You're going to study the Bible, and you're gonna learn the principles of God, and that's how you're gonna make money. But in that thing, I mean, he's great. He's doing his role and doing like beautiful work, except for in that equation, money is still the people's God. They're not giving up. They're just using God to get money. So an actual healthy equation is sell people God and tell them money is the how you're going to get God money.
Do you see the perfection now too? Because you said accept, so like there's something you see that's not perfect in me, and I'm wondering if that's in you and it's yours just shit.
Same one.
Like about what you see Myron Golden doing, like he has something, fruit, and it's working, and they are getting God, and these people may have not even known that it was God, but it's like I see the and aspect where it's both. It's not one or the other. It's not they're getting money and using God. Maybe it's like they're actually cultivating a relationship, and so the money is the reason they can even make $1 million.
I have a question for you, dude. Did you actually receive what he said, or did you decide that it's not as good as what you think?
I have no thought on this topic.
Well, because I noticed he said something that was really literally profound. Neil's like having breakthroughs. I'm like having experiences. And the nanosecond that his last word was finished, you were jumping on with like a yeah, but what about this? And can't you see like it's an ant world? And I'm just wondering if you actually heard that message, because many people here were deeply impacted by it, and you seem completely unfazed while you were going in a different direction. So did you actually hear what he said?
Yes, I did. I'm completely present to the conversation, and I'm also looking for what we're all moving towards. And so when you're speaking, I'm listening for what could be in you that maybe is potentially.
I'm suspicious because you've done that to me. You have a pattern with me of waiting till I stop talking and then speaking while not actually connecting with what I just said. So you have a pattern of that with me. I mean, it looked identical that you did with John, so maybe I'm mistaken, but it just looked absolutely identical.
I'm not the same.
Well, you did it this morning, so it's just.
I wasn't
I'm not talking about the
connected to
distant
what you were
past.
speaking to when I did the thing. I wasn't connected to what you were saying. I was jumping in with something else.
Yes.
This is different. This I was connected
Okay.
to what.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
So I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt right now. So say more, and then so I'm open to receiving what you're saying, and he's probably correct as well. Like it's probably both inside of you, because that is a pattern of yours. So there probably is a pattern going on, and there's a gift in there as well. So.
Well, you can take it or leave it. It just pricked up my ears when you said accept.
Yeah.
And that's it.
When you said accept.
Yeah.
So say the thing.
You shared how Myron Golden has a thing. He's doing great works. It's beautiful. And your conclusion or assumption was that people are using God to get the money. And so somehow his equation is not perfect, and somehow you have an equation that would be perfect if you did it this way. And I'm thinking, or heard, like that just raised my, what is that? Why do you say that?
So the way that when I was saying it, I said he's doing his role perfectly, and his role doesn't actually finish the job. It starts the journey, but it doesn't finish the journey. So that's when I said accept. It's kind of like Dean Graziosi is doing his job. He's getting people from level 1 to level 2. And that's great, except the people are still there. They don't know there's a further, they're not done yet. So there's still steps to take. So it gets them moving, except they're still aiming at the wrong target.
I'm just pointing to the reality that he's getting a lot of money, like massive amounts of money, and that's what we're like talking about, and how regardless of what happens to his people that he sells and gives them God, even if those people were to lose everything, they still know God at this point. So God is still going to remain, and that person may or may not choose it to be a thing, but it is now in them.
So I've agreed. I say yes to that. I agree with that.
So I don't know what else.
So do you hear? So okay. So I already included what you just said. That was already included in my share. That's why I specifically said it the way that I said it, where he's doing his role and it's perfect. That's what I added all that inside of it, because he is a piece of the thing. He's a part of the ladder, except it doesn't finish because the people are still aiming at the wrong target. They're still aiming at money. Their goal is money.
And I'm asking what's wrong with that? What's the problem? And you, like, what? How is that not perfect?
Well, I'm saying it is perfect if your goal is money. Like, there's no good, bad, right, or wrong, what works and doesn't work, given what you're trying to accomplish. So if you're trying to accomplish, if your goal is money, then continue doing that. If your goal is God, then aim at God. So what did you hear me saying? Why did I say accept?
you're saying sell people God. I don't know, you're switching the equation that he's doing and saying that this is what people need, but still make money and afford something. Can you say your thing again? What your accept?
So I said Myron Golden he sells people money, and he tells them that you want to get it, then you need to learn the principles of God. And I said, that's great. That's perfect. He's doing his role. Like, he's definitely doing his role. He's the king of his thing, and he's doing his role great. So selling them money and then telling them they got to use God to get it. And I said, that's great, except money is still their target. Money is still their goal.
And so
Which
you're saying sell them God.
Sell them God. Make God their goal.
First commandment, no other God before me. God in service of money or money in service of God.
So make God their goal, and then what?
And then use money to get God. Instead of using God to get money, use money to get God.
How are these people, I'm asking because I really want to know, how are these people using God's principles, receiving everything they want, using God's principles? How are they then not the God of where is this what you're pointing to? How are they not being their own God then if they're using God's principles?
I mean, they might actually be, like, you don't know which way they're going to go with it. They might actually get God, but their goal, like the way that it's positioned, their goal is not, like, they might, as a side effect, God might hook them and bring them all on in and give up their goal. But it's like the thing that we do here when we do the 7 levels. What's your why? I want to know why you're here, because if you're here for a different reason than me, then we're going in different directions. So if your goal is money, if your goal is to use God to get money, then you're going in a different direction than me. I'm here to use money to give God to humanity.
I have another way to look at this, potentially. And this is from God directly, what you think God would want in the context of either God wants you to use money to get him, that's one, or God wants you to use him to get money.
Correct.
But so you're saying God wants you to use him to get money, but that's what Myron Golden is showing people how to use him to get money, and you're saying you want to use money to get to God. But in this context, you chose the latter.
I have a translation.
God wants you
Here's
to
what's simple. I could teach leadership and promising people power and influence.
Is this what I shared?
Yes.
I could teach leadership promising people power and influence, just like I could teach God promising people money. Or I could teach money promising people God. I could teach power and influence and then teach leadership. So if you want to be the person that impacts an entire planet, this channel is for you. But I don't offer power and influence. I offer the ability to contribute. But the ability to contribute requires massive power and influence. And then that's the design of the visionary program. If I was walking around selling power and influence, different people would purchase it. But instead, I walk around selling leadership to impact the planet. So it's the same, they both would be the visionary program, but would be entirely different contexts, moving in an entirely different direction, producing different fruit, attracting different people. It would attract people who want power and influence as opposed to people like yourself who want to impact humanity and serve God. So there are different intentions and there are different paths. It's different paths. Now, you might be on the power and influence path and discover God, and you might not. But in my assessment, the work is incomplete until you discover God, until you discover a servant's heart, until you're serving with no personal agenda. That is for me the highest, and I'm transparent about that, and I talk about it all the time. So a step in that direction would be good, but it's not complete, which is what he said.
I kind of see it as a circle. Like, it's not ever incomplete. Like, God wants you to have money. And so if you sell people money and they get God, it's still fulfilling what God wants for his people.
Okay, that's a beautiful opinion. Okay, but fine, that's a beautiful opinion. Now, he's someone who's actually creating a channel, and you're offering an opinion. So you've offered the opinion. Is that opinion meant to be a contribution to him, and is it supporting him, or are you needing to have it be different than how he's going to create it?
Not at all. It can be
So why are we still talking about it?
because I'm looking for if there's anything in John that you can't see, that I'm feeling that could potentially be something. And if it's
Okay.
not, we can let it go. And
Well,
I'm okay with that.
so you are needing to make a point about something.
No,
Okay.
I'm happy to move on.
You have a conclusion that he's got something in him, and you're trying to find it.
I spoke to it and I'm okay to set it down.
Do you have a conclusion that he's got something inside of him that you're trying to search out?
No, I'm asking to see if there's anything inside of you.
Did
I'm
you
not
ask that
saying-
question? Did you ever ask that question?
I asked him
Okay.
that question. Did I?
There's, it's really thick and difficult to maneuver where you are. I notice it's like really, it's like quicksand right now. So I don't know what the source of that is, but
I think I got
it's
it.
with John and me simultaneously.
I think I got it. So I'm actually clean and clear with Myron. Is there anything in you that this brought up
About my building?
about you using God to get money
No.
Or the reverse.
I
or
would
the
like.
reverse?
I think it's brilliant. Like, and I would be someone that would use God to get money and focus on God. God, money wouldn't be my God. So I'm speaking to people in the world like that, not just looking at the bad fruit of the people that are using God to get money. I'm seeing those people are faith-driven, have a history with God, and they're like, oh wow, I didn't know this. So I'm looking at that aspect of people.
If you were right about your fear and you saw it right here, what would it be? If you're 100% on intuitive, God told you, you just saw it in John.
You're focusing more on people's egos than like God through the people.
Beautiful.
You're afraid of, you just focus on egos and how you can, and you're blocking yourself from the source through that ego, even though God is using your ego. And it somehow is tied to money, and that's all I got.
That was a heck of a journey to get to that.
Yeah, that's what. Now he can respond to that. So that's that. By the way, that's how you do it.
That was good.
Stop doing the 37 questions. Stop being a detective. Stop trying to sneak up on them. Just say your fucking thing. Let it be said and let us do it. That's what we do.
And also, like, it's going to be clunky. Like, you just did it. It was perfect. But I also could feel in her that there was a, like, there was something that wasn't ego, that wasn't backing down. She just didn't know how to package it and, like, point to the thing. So,
That's what I felt.
because I kept feeling like, is this significance? What is this? And I was like, no, she's fucking on something. I kept looking for it. I couldn't really see what it was. But
Or say it again.
You're focused on egos,
Okay.
and you're not seeing like God through them, and it's somehow related to money. And so when you spoke about Myron and his people are using God to get money, I'm thinking of someone like me who would use God to get money and still focus on God and not make it all about money. There's something in there that's like, you can't be both. It's just this thing. And so you're trying to do something different. And I'm like, no, there's a whole group of people over here that it is serving and bringing them closer to God. Like, holy shit, like, so.
So if there's something that you're pointing when you just if there's something you're pointing at when you start describing what you're pointing at, all that is included in my awareness and my
So then it's just
Like, 'cause
focused on egos, that's it.
okay. So yeah, so let's remove that because again, when you say that, I'm like, yes, that was all perfectly included inside of what I was sharing. Is that it's like when I talk about at the bottom of the mountain, there's a lot of paths, but once you get to the top of the mountain, there's just one last step, and so I'm including all the paths. And so when you're describing that, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I included. Why I said it the way that I said it, to include all the paths, but there's a final step, and so if we just get rid of that, because if that's what you're saying, I've already included that. If that's not what you're saying, there's something else, then
I'll try again.
so don't just say the thing. Don't add anything else. Don't tell me about why you're saying what you're saying. Just say what you're saying without the why. Or about what you think that's. Don't say what you think that is missing. Just say. You said just focus.
You're focused on egos and it's blocking it.
Okay. Focus on.
Just blocking what?
Okay.
It's blocking the path, my path,
The path.
the
Oh,
path.
got that.
Focus on egos. It's blocking the path.
Something's coming to me that might be helpful. I'm picturing the 5 levels and just had a thought about, okay, so if I'm at level 1 and I won the lottery, what's gonna happen with that money? Is it gonna be God's money, or is it, if I'm level 2 and I won the lottery, what?
Well, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous.
3.
No, if you're in level 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're all that. Any money that you collect and grow, at some point, it's going to be. If you don't get to level 5, then at some point, all that stuff. The whole purpose of you collecting all of it was just to give to the righteous that are going to inherit the earth. So all that work was for naught. I mean, it was for good for the righteous. It was stored up. You did all that work for other people.
I just saw something, looking from the 5 levels. The 5 levels are different orientations of perception, right? Different ways to look at the world, different lens through which to look at the world. So, one statement would appeal heavily to level 2s, and that might assist them in the level 3. That'd be super awesome. And the other statement would appeal to level 5s who have done all the levels and are now wanting to.
The one guy. Oh, so yeah, okay, that's.
Or the 4s that want to be 5s, or the 5s.
So this is actually it. That's my. The king of my thing. So my niche is God. Like mine is the truth. Like all the way. So if the statement, like if that's the king of my thing, it's just. So what Myron is doing, he's helping level 1s and level 2s do more of level 2. Like 1s are coming to 2, 2 are getting better at 2. But he's then getting them to have to understand God in order to do what they want to do. Now, they're still going to remain in level 2. They're never going to go. They won't go beyond it with that goal, that intention set in place. Who I'm for are the ones who want God more than anything that this world has to offer, and so who I could be talking to are the level 2s. That Myron has talked to. Myron has set the stage, got the people making a whole bunch of money using God, but now they're tired of using God to get this worthless thing, and they want to trade the worthless thing that they collected for something that actually matters. They actually want God, because in the way that it's happening there, they're not actually getting God, they're getting money. And so now they can trade in. So I'm focused now, who my fish are the ones who are ready to get God. So here, trade in your money. It's what Yogananda did with the billionaire. That's how he built his entire thing. Was there was a billionaire that finally actually wanted God. He realized that all the things that he was doing, it was pointless. It was worthless. Even though he was using God's principles to build his kingdom, he actually is done building his kingdom and he wants to build God's kingdom. And so he gave away all of his money to build God's kingdom. So that's who I'm here for, is the ones who are ready to build God's kingdom. And they're ready to give away all their money so that they can build God's kingdom.
Let's find those.
And it could, but it doesn't matter where you are on the journey. You could have $10, and that's all you got. Okay, give it all. Whatever it is, you give it all. And you give it all. Stop building your kingdom to build God's kingdom. That's exactly what Jesus did. No matter when he bumped into somebody or he chose somebody, hey, follow me. All right, you got to give it all. Give it everything. And lay it all down right here, right now. He didn't teach them how to use him to get what they wanted. He taught them how to give up everything that they've ever wanted so they can have him. And that's what I'm here for.
So that perfectly tees things up because you're implying that Myron Golden's people who just like with John Bush,
And
he didn't, yeah, and I've got two people who are directly, we could probably get Myron Golden on the phone.
Oh yeah, he was. I saw Miro
Miro's connected,
was
and Artemis too, for that matter.
Myron's mastermind.
Yep.
We got a new mastermind
Come
in
on.
town.
I know.
It's called
Come
the
on.
Lewis Show.
I'm not sure
It's
how to
called-
respond to that, especially with Kirk this close to me.
Very confident.
No, but see, but that's
I expressed my
Close your eyes, drop
skepticism
into your
and
heart,
fear.
Taking a breath, pause.
that's not. See, that's not.
The response
Accurate.
doesn't require words also.
That's not an accurate representation of Lewis in his gift, because he created Ian, Empowering Austin Now, and it was specifically not about Lewis. It was about us, and that's how Kirk and I met. So when Lewis is in his gift, he is just bringing. He's stepping out to bring the people together. Now he is selfish in it because he just wants these powerful people to come together so he can get he can get mentored by them, coached by them, have them in his reality, so he can. And it's selfless in the same way because he's growing himself. So it's all, you know.
He's had to grow a lot to maintain a relationship with me and John.
Thank you.
But he specifically did move out of it. It wasn't that Ian wasn't the Lewis show. It was literally he was highlighting he was highlighting me. He was highlighting Kirk. He was putting the spotlights on us. He did a great job at that.
I agree, God was there and God was using you and you were allowing it. And then just recently, that's why I connected with you. Well, and I've seen where you are now that I could connect with you about Ian and that inspiration, without you being in the ways.
Thank you.
So that was beautiful and all, but I don't think it ever talked to Beyonce's.
Yeah, so my role is to spot the ego and say, hey, that's ego. Do you want to continue with it, or would you like to let it go? And so
Did you see a different perspective, or did you see what she was like? Can you point to what she's pointing at in a different way that is easier? for
I
you
think
to-
she articulated it well.
It's like it feels
I
like
don't
there's
know
energy.
Myron's sales funnel, but if he's asking people to contribute 100,000 to get $1 million, I don't think he's focusing on levels 1 or 2, which I studied a lot of 5-stage models, quite a few, and I mean that would be, if you have that kind of money, you're already at stage 3, you think I'm great and everyone else isn't. You're already doing the egoic thing and making your way in the world. And then he's offering them people who have a strong ego that can function in the world, who aren't alienated, who aren't living life tragic as victims. We're talking about capable stage 3 and 4s that he's saying, okay, here's potentially 4.5 or some god.
But so when you're saying stages, I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about something different than we're talking about. We're talking about the 5 levels of consciousness that are
Yes.
laid out in my book.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you're
Yeah, okay. I'd be real curious because I've looked at a lot of 5-stage models and I can't imagine.
Yeah, this ain't that.
Life is a prison, stage 1, I'm alienated, there's no God, I'm completely divorced from everything, I'm in massive suffering.
Okay, go ahead.
Stage 2 is life is tragic, poor me, I'm a victim.
No,
Not at all.
Not at all.
Those were both stage 1.
Those are both stage 1.
Victim,
Close.
just stage 1.
Well, stage one is not a victim. Stage one gangs together with other people because they're alienated in life and they're literally gangs.
But those are victims. Yeah, they're just.
The book is awesome.
That's actually
Those are predators.
that's actually backwards. So those.
That's why we say victims run the show. You should read this book.
Those are actually flipped upside down. Like once they start building gangs, that's actually level 2. So they've gone from level 1 as a victim to a level 2, where now they're a collective victim. They're just doing whatever they got to do to get whatever they want at that point. So yeah, your model is not this. It's a different.
It's not wrong or bad. It's just not.
It's just not what
I
we're.
just wonder if
in the
he's
context.
asking them to give $100,000. These are, I mean, you made yourself materially success. You know, you got through that stage in life, in the world, where you were successful at that. So I'm kind of like with something of what you're saying. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like you're these. You know, what is the funnel in for those people who are in that place who've done that?
So what I'm saying, so God very clearly told me 8 years ago. He said that that there's fishermen and there's fish cleaners, and he said I'm the fish cleaner, and he said Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, all these big name people are fishermen, and they're going to catch the fish and give them to me so I can clean them. They don't know how to clean the fish. They only know how to catch the fish. That's their role. They're supposed to be fishermen, but I'm a fish cleaner, and that's my role. I need to stay in my role of cleaning the fish. I'm not supposed to be out there catching the fish. I'm supposed to be cleaning the fish, but I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to catch fishermen and clean them up, so then they will then bring their fish to me to clean them, because they don't know how to. They're never going to be able to clean their fish like I can, because that's not their role. Their job is just catch the fish. If they start trying to clean the fish, then they won't catch the fish anymore, because you can't clean the fish before you catch them. You got to catch them, get them on the boat, and then clean them. If these fishermen start looking, ooh, I got to figure out how to clean this fish, then the fish are like, whoa, you're trying to cut me open? Like, I don't fucking want to get on your hook. So they specifically need to not clean them, because if they're trying to clean them, then they can't catch them.
I see that so clearly.
I see what you're sharing as your role.
Boom! I see that.
So Lewis is a great fisherman. Whatever you do, don't try to clean your fish. Just catch them.
Yes.
And catch them.
Sending them here for 3 years.
Well, I've seen you try to clean up fish.
Oh. Oops.
You can set the stage. You can let them know what getting cleaned is like, or something like the benefits of getting cleaned.
Butter them up and bury them up.
I did that with Sarah.
But so it's the same with Myron. Myron doesn't know how to clean a fish. He knows how to catch a fish, and so he'll be a perfect fisherman, because he's actually like one of the greatest. Because he's actually already turning the people towards God, and then now we can clean them.
Can't he send us fish for our fish hunt?
Yeah, that's what's we're going to be bringing him here soon.
Okay. And John Bush, how do you see him?
He's a fisherman. He's not so much wanting to be cleaned yet. I don't know that he wants his fish to be cleaned. I don't know. He would have to be sold by a fisherman. A fisherman would have to sell him on how to catch more fish. He doesn't want to be cleaned or want his fish to be cleaned. All right, I get to go.
I gotta just drop. I don't have
Okay,
to.
go ahead.
Would you like it?
Go.
Okay. So this is you're talked about your role. You do the ego thing, and I can see you can use it as a blessing and a curse, because I notice your focus on egos is strictly focusing on dirty people, and blocks you from anyone that is clean. There's this thing of like nobody's clean, like no one on the planet is clean, and so I'm speaking to people that are competent, that actually are already clean, that you can work with and have a conversation where they're competent, cooperative, collaborative, and it's like a whole, like you're still focusing on this rather than recognizing like you have people that can fit into reality that are clean. Dirty egos, everybody's dirty. Every time you talk about a person,
Yeah,
it's
is it
dirty.
possible there might be some people who are as clean as or close?
Like as far, like close in a way that it takes a conversation.
Are you speaking hypothetically, or do you have people in mind?
Yeah.
I'm speaking to this reality
Do
of
you have people in
living-
mind?
Yeah, Myron Golden
Who?
clients. I imagine, I don't know.
You think his clients are perfectly clean?
I'm saying there must be one.
Do you have any
takes
one
one.
person in mind as an example of what you're pointing to? or is it purely hypothetical?
It's intuitive.
It's purely hypothetical. How about you, Lewis? So
I'm not sure.
There's your answer, right?
I'm
So
not sure.
you're pointing to somebody. Yeah, but what about these people? Well, I'd like to meet one.
Yeah.
I'd like to meet one.
I don't have
I've
the
never
money,
met one.
But if I were to make it that far in
Who's
life, I
sexting?
would be that person.
Okay.
Like if I can
Wait,
make it,
but-
it exists. Stephen Furtick.
Yeah, but it's
He's
like,
loaded.
He's not.
yeah, he's, but that's what, but he's not clean.
But
Like,
if he
it-
met you, it would take a conversation.
Yeah.
He would be competent.
Well, you're saying an easy
An
flip, just
easy
to clean
flip.
up
I'm
a
saying
little-
you're focused on the dirty people that fight you and cannot
Oh,
possibly.
that's what you're saying?
Yes. It takes a minute, Kirk. I'm new. I'm clunky. I'm
So you're
speaking
saying
in the-
You're
for
just
me
talking
to
about how
fo-
easy it is to flip them. That's all you're talking about.
I'm talking about people that are there and cooperative and able to hear.
And easy to flip.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Well,
I mean,
My,
no idea
Myron
what
and
you're
Stephen Furtick are not going to be easy to flip.
You don't know that. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm talking about. You're focused on their
Yeah,
ego.
he does know that. You're speaking from a complete lack of
I'm speaking
perspective or
from
experience.
a human that knows the source of love and is aware of love confronting dysfunction and what's
Okay.
possible. That's it.
Very good.
So you're correct. It's a hypothesis that they won't be easy to flip from, working with.
And the people at this table who actually know something about this are telling you these are the hardest people that can.
And I'm completely open because, with God, all things are possible, but it would be a miracle.
Yeah.
Because I
It's
understand.
the miracles.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm open to the miracles of it. Like, that's completely great. But
Yeah, I hear you're
You have
committed
your
to
own.
turning a conclusion into an inquiry.
And really quickly, I do feel like we actually do speak to this a lot around this table, is that we talk about John being the only one and that actually blocks us from the other ones coming. Like, because I do believe that there are people that are cleaning up all the
Okay, you guys are triggered.
No.
There's something weird going on here. We'll definitely get to the bottom of this.
I feel the
This is-
energy around it.
John should be present for this.
I got a podcast.
You guys are-
I'm gonna go.
Because we spent so much
go
time.
fish.
You guys are
Go
fighting
fish.
for something.
I'm going fishing, but this is not my.
They're all
role. This is
sinners,
the problem.
guys. Just
I'm
want to let
just
you
supposed to be
know.
cleaning fish.
They're already
Just say what you're
clean.
saying, John. You have to go. Say what you're saying. Everyone listen to John.
It just hit me right now. My job is not to fish. My job is to clean the fish. I'm just supposed to be only cleaning fish, never fishing.
Somebody else
So
should
it's the
be-
same because Jesus, in his role, he was a fish cleaner. He sent out the disciples not to clean the fish, but to catch them. So you all are here to catch fish. I'm here to clean them.
Imagine your conversation with a clean fish. That's easy just through a conversation. It wouldn't be fishing. You
Find
would-
me
it's
one.
our job. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, find one.
Go catch me one of those, and then
Those five that we're gonna buy.
We're
right
any
now.
of
Meantime,
us
don't
easy
stop
to
doing
clean.
everything else. Because it's going to
Instead
be
of saying
I mean, just look at
a
us.
clean
None of us
fish,
were
you
easy
could
to
say
clean.
an open soul, someone who's receptive, pure. It doesn't mean there isn't dirt there, but some people are much. I'm interested to jump into this right away. Like, that's not everybody. I'm sure you said. So
Yeah.
here I am, like getting clean. I 100% feel being around John getting clean. But there are people who. There's a lot of people who are already moving to Costa Rica, looking for something, or looking for communities. There's a whole funnel of people who are already doing that. They might not be coming through your funnel, but in the last 2 years, so many Canadians and Europeans are buying land in Costa Rica.
We connected with a lot of them on the John Bush event. That's who we connected with on the John Bush event. This pond of what you're saying, we're like, holy, it was a honey hole. And like, I want to get us in there. And so,
There's all these expat groups on Facebook. People
Yeah.
coming to Costa Rica. That could be low hanging like posts and like, hey, come check out us. Meet us. See if you're intrigued by what the community we're offering here. People are coming down here looking for, and they're going to these different.
I just wrote
types.
a
These are
note. I
great
was like,
ideas.
There's got to be a way to replicate the John Bush pond because it was such a honey hole and the way it felt to be in there.
Yeah.
And so I think that you are onto something. I put something in my notes to just sit with that later.
Kirk, you asked me earlier for an example about one of the
A
people
clean
I'm
person?
talking about. You want to, and
I would love to.
you're a miracle. You being here at this table is a miracle. You were someone who was collaborative, open, didn't know God, but John was at the source, and it was an easy conversation, an event, and it brought him on. And you were the only person here that can partner and collaborate. But I'm saying, imagine 10 Kirks, not specifically you, but with your capabilities to receive, to listen, to collaborate, to contribute. That's Stephen Furtick right there. That's Myron Golden. These are high-level, competent human beings here now. Not clean. You got cleaned up. You had hot seats all around. You made it. You survived. So yes,
So what's your point?
like the whole conversation.
Define more it means?
Like it's yes,
Yes?
people like you that already exist.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on all these lower level.
Okay.
Merlin and his buddies.
Well, that's the only one I've ever met. If you're comparing me to John, which is appropriate in some cases, not in
I'm not
others, right?
comparing you.
I think that's what she's saying.
I'm not. Hold on. So it's my turn. I seriously have something, Kirk, and I'm bringing it, and I'm speaking to. I'm not comparing you to John. I'm saying I lost it because I don't know.
You didn't lose it. You have it.
Okay. You both have the thing. That's what I'm pointing to.
Yes.
You're the only two that exist.
Yes.
You're the only two that ever met. I'm saying that's not true. That is, there are billions of people on the planet, and I'm saying we need to focus on not
Yes.
their egos. Because if we only focus on Kurt's ego, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. So, but you're here because he looked beyond that. He saw you, and you gave him something to look at. And I'm saying people exist like that, and that's
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay. So, you feel very locked into your opinion, so I'm not sure how to open this up, but, okay, great. So let's find people who had a similar level of training, openness, cleanliness as me and John. Okay, great. I've only met 2 in my lifetime, and I'm in the business. And so I don't know that that's the foundation for a marketing plan. I don't know that the target audience is big enough. So that's one piece. You feel that? The other thing is you have an opinion about how I got here, and your opinion is my ego wasn't focused on. But pardon?
He saw both, but he didn't focus.
Yes. But you have these conclusions, opinions about how I got here and how John got here, but you don't know. You weren't here 30 years ago and 20 years ago. In my history, you weren't here before in John's history. So all you have is conclusions about how we got here. Our egos were focused on, they weren't focused on, whatever, but you don't actually know. You're just saying what you think in support of your point.
I have a mirror to that, if I can show. I'm not triggered. I'm very open. I feel tapped in.
You may not be triggered, but I notice you're debating every single point line by line, and it doesn't feel like you're receiving anything. I could be wrong about that. It just feels like I say a thing, just like that. I say a thing, and pop. I say a thing, and pop. So yeah, say what you want to say, and I'll receive it.
This is where I see you also have your conclusion and opinions you're living inside of that no one else can do what you guys did. Just because I don't know what you did doesn't speak to the reality that other people can achieve something similar through their own journey.
I was getting to that. To that point, I would like to introduce you to the Visionary Program.
Imagine high-level people joining that. Not
Yes, I imagine it frequently and often and have thousands of times.
But your marketing was to people broken and soulless and sheeps, not people in the world that are successful. And that's what he spoke to at breakfast today, that we were targeting the wrong, we're not targeting those people anymore. I'm in support of this mission and moving forward in a solution. I'm not debating, I'm literally
You are debating.
I'm counter-arguing for something, not.
Okay. But I'm still not getting heard, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing here.
But it's not true that you're not getting heard. I hear you.
If I wanted to hear you, what would you say?
I would say that yes, first of all, I've dedicated my life to creating opportunities for people to have the experience that John and I have. And my work is on record. And so we don't focus exclusively on egos and never have. So it seems like you're misdirected about that. We see the true, the real. Are you?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
We see. Okay, yeah. So we see it all at the same time, right? So I'm looking at Phoenix, and I see her ego, and I see spirit. I can see, I can see the mask that she may have on. I can see the truth that's trying to hide up, and I can connect to her as a child of God simultaneously. So that mask, that first one, is ego. And yes, I'm present to you. It's taken me a great number of years of training and being present to be focused to be present to the ego, and be present to what it's covering up, and to be present to what's actually under there. Where's it?
She's right, she took off. She's right here.
What are you feeling, Mel?
I'm looking. I'm looking because I know this space that she's in, and I know when you're around something and you don't know what it is, you can just point at something. So I feel that in her, and I'm just looking, because I'm also like looking at the truth. I'm like, I know the only reason that John listens to Stephen Furtick and Myron Golden is because he saw them and he grabbed who they truly are, and he's anchored into that, and then he like sees all of this other bullshit around it, everything that will keep this imprisoned. And so when he tells himself, like, what would that interaction look like? Well, all of these guards are not going to let me get this, and I need to understand how their ego works and what all of this. And so we speak to all of that a lot, because that's actually really important. Like, the first thing we did was anchor into who they are. And so that's all true, but then there's also something else that I see that John probably, there is some sort of slight shift or something, and I'm associating with, like, in our relationship a lot of times, I've had this thing that I've said throughout, and it's never really gone away, but it's not anything that's any kind of problem or anything like that, but I've said, like, many times when I am triggered, I'll say, like, I feel like you need to, whatever this means, I feel like you need me to be a villain for some reason. It's weird. So I don't know. You asked, that's why I'm just sharing my thoughts with you right now. So I'm like, is that, because that's where my mind went when you're talking. I'm like, is this in the same direction that you're kind of pointing at? Is there something that would be a really great shift for John maybe to unblock some sort of flow that he's trying to find us? That's where I'm at. I'm not.
I mean, that's actually perfect, because I actually got this from you, because you spoke to this before, and then like a while ago, there's something relating with ego, like whether it's his own or in other people. But then when you speak to, like, he watches these people that have amazing fruits. Yes, they're covered in, that's a baby in the bathwater, and he's already thinking about how the interaction's going to go without actually. It could literally take one conversation, and he's thinking, no, they're never going to let me get there. And I'm like, maybe it's true, but I'm speaking to what's possible, the high side.
Maybe, but he also is looking at reality because he's really good at understanding each ego of each soldier, and he's like, what are they going to do? And like, I know, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just like bouncing, but like, what is each soldier going to do to protect this? And so what is my work going to involve in order to free them?
I understand.
So what are you saying about that?
I'm saying there could be fear in that, or resistance to actually being the type of guy who fucks with Stephen Furtick or Myron Golden and these big names, because he's gone fucked over by big, strong egos. And these are big, strong egos, but you are a big, strong ego, and you're in support. You're moving this bigger than it's ever been moved. So I'm saying, stop focusing on the dirty. I don't know what I'm saying other than that. That's it. That's all I got. Like, that's it.
So to your point, there are certain egos that have been categorized and characterized as like well-built. Like Artemis is one of them, where it's like, oh my God, he's so big and strong, he'll never. And the assumption is he'll never be teachable.
It's not that he's big and strong. That is my conclusion. Is just that I've seen him over and over and over again manipulate, lie, and I've just seen the practices of someone who is driven by their ego as opposed to someone who's driven by love. Pretty much without exception. So it's not the strength or the size of his ego that I am noticing, it's the choices that it consists something else. And I've watched the fruit inside of you from him. And I think he's slowed you down considerably. But that's just my assessment.
when I see him or anyone with an ego producing terrible fruit, I see the perfection of their soul, and I step into the willingness to let go of the past over and over and over again. And I got your commitment is to be
On the high side.
safe. It seems that your commitment is to be safe, so that someone who I've experienced personally, when I was unsafe, being held at arm's length, and I approve of that. That makes sense. And at the same time, if there hadn't been a willingness to step into something is possible for Lewis and opening that space over and over, then I would have never stepped into it.
Both of those are true. Both of those are present.
So that's how I hold our peace, and that's how we could hold
Yeah.
these big egos that are
Well, we actually are.
okay.
I have something.
See, I think we're already doing what she's standing for, which is why I'm having difficulty articulating. And you're a prime example. I literally see you and me. I see a young Kirk. I see the incredible deep perception. I see a sharp brain. I see a deep commitment. And I see you, tinkering and being funky every now and then. But given that I see all that in you, I also am present for the ego and what is dysfunctional and doesn't work, and your weaknesses and so forth. And I've put you in a very elevated position because I see what I think you're asking me and John to see in people. Literally, my seeing it in you is why you've been given the opportunities that you've been given, because the opportunities you've been given far surpass your years of experience, or months of experience.
Yes, thank you. What I'm speaking to is money, and what, in the context of being in service of God.
Gaining, so you're speaking of money. Are you speaking of the money as a concept, money as a tool? How do we get money? How do we market?
I'm speaking
direction
to
of
the
here can be
solution
changing.
of how we get $50 million so that
Okay, thank you.
villages can exist
Okay,
for a bunch of people.
And you're speaking from a place, you're literally someone who is just created by God to be a conduit for money to come to and through. You don't have to do anything, we're born into it, and this is a gift that you bring to this table. And so you do have a perspective that I don't have. My journey's different. And so I just am saying that it's possible, if it were possible, that she's pointing to something. I can't see it tangibly, but I feel it. She's pointing to something that could be possible for, I respect you as an advisor, because I see your commitment. I see, everything that Kirk's speaking to, so I respect you in that way. And so when you're hot on something, I'm gonna take a second look. Because what's the worst that could happen? A fucking massive breakthrough that unlocks and all of this flow comes through. So absolutely, I don't know what this is, but I know that later, Sean and I will probably have some conversations. Just open up, start looking at the puzzle pieces.
And I don't take that lightly, and so I'm only speaking to this because it's hot in me. And I'm not triggered, I'm literally in support, and I'm seeing how John moves when he's working or talking about people that have what he wants. Millions of dollars coming through. I mean, his biggest inquiry is how are they doing it and they're not even being real? We have what's real, but no one wants to pay for it. So there's all that in him about, how to do it. And so I hear him talking about these people that have literally everything he wants, but somehow making it that it's not it, or there's something different needs to happen here for me to have it.
Okay, so right there in that location of your iteration, so I agree with Mel. You're pointing to something that has yet to be articulated. And how you say you're seeing what's going on occurs to me as wildly inaccurate. John's perspective and where he's looking and what he's trying to do. It occurs to me as wildly inaccurate. So I keep trying to bring you my wisdom and knowledge of how we do business so that you can operate from what we're actually doing, which has been some of the friction, because I think you have a lot of cloudiness in there and have yet to get to the inspiration. So I'm not going to try to correct your thinking about how we're doing business, and just in service of whatever's in there getting out.
And I offer support and questions and guidance too. Yeah.
I just want to reflect. I think sometimes it sounds over here like nothing he's doing is wrong. Everything we're doing is working. So can you see that? Like there's nothing else to be said.
Yeah, I'm
about this.
definitely not
And
saying that.
you're not saying that. Just there's an energy. I think it lands that way sometimes.
Okay, well, I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying is, John, there are things that we're doing and not doing that are not clear for you guys. Can that just kind of be obvious for a minute?
I mean, he
I
operates.
connect.
There are
agree.
perspectives, there are actions, there are conversations, there are paradigms, trainings, strategies, tactics, awarenesses that none of you are fully present to, and some, and many of you are present to very much of it. You just see what you see, right? So, and then when you, I love what you're doing, except that you're stating things that are just not how we do and see, and I'm just gonna let that be okay for now.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep trying because when I look at John, I see him operate strictly from faith. So you have a lot of logical, logistical how things are done, and I'm like, he's not there. He's like somewhere else that none of us get, but I'm leaning towards understanding every day. And it's something that we're all here in service of because he has so much faith. That's literally the only reason why I'm sitting here. It's because of his faith. That's it. There's no other reason. And so I see that. And so when he comes in, he talks about things of the world. Like he leaves that space sometimes and goes back to the world of money. And I'm like, okay, there's a gap in where he's standing and what he's doing or talking about or seeing in other people.
I have a question for you, B. Why are
Hold on,
you?
hold on. It's not true for me that his faith is the only reason we're all here.
And I felt that within
Okay.
me because the reason I'm here is because of my faith.
Well, also, we're here because there's someplace to be. There's a village that we're here at, and there's someplace that you sleep at night. And faith is the source of that, but it is not the sole ingredient.
So that's what I'm speaking. It's the source of it. Like maybe it's not. It's the whatever other is part of that. It's the foundation of why we're here. I mean, I borrowed his faith until I had my own to actually show up and be in this space to sleep here. Like I wouldn't.
Okay.
So
it's not. So you see, that's not just faith. There's actually
movement.
There's people-
Faith without works is dead. Yes. Action, momentum.
you're putting words in my mouth and then agreeing with what you said. So let me say what I'm saying. So there's people here. There's a property. There's momentum. There's things that have started and are in the middle. Like there's a lot of things here, and there's faith. Faith alone, we would just be sitting in dirt. So faith isn't the only reason you're here.
And I'm saying faith. The lack of faith is why we don't have 50 million in everybody.
Could
here.
be. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
But let us not build a truth on how we're going to live. You don't need to build a case. You can just say the thing.
So
This is it. The cases you're building are very weak, and the truth that you're pointing to might be true. So I'm lighting up on the case building. We're ready to receive your message. You don't need to prove anything.
I guess I'm still in my own delivery. It's like for me to understand what the fuck I'm trying to say to myself is
Yes.
the case. It's not for you guys, it's for me. As I'm speaking, it's for me to see how whatever this feeling is makes sense to my brain to make it make sense to you guys. But if I can let that go, I'm happy to take the other.
Well, there's a lack of humility in many of your statements about and towards me and John. Like you know something that you don't know.
Okay.
my question to you is like, why are you? You might have just answered my question, but why are you trying to convey this idea?
Because I see John needs support in something in an area that, he spoke to receiving money is the ship is sinking. I'm speaking from this space.
Is there a problem that you're trying to fix?
No,
Are you certain? Is the
yes.
ship sinking?
So
I'm
I heard two things. One, that the ship is sinking, and two, that John needs assistance with this thing. And I hear that both of those are conclusions and very well assumptions, because I don't feel John needs assistance. And the ship sinking may be reality.
That was not said about this occasion.
Okay, so both of those are conclusions and assumptions.
I'll
So
try
just
it. I don't
putting
think
that
he
out
needs
there.
assistance. I'm offering assistance. I don't need to give
Okay.
it. I'm just feeling it's like
And
this
he
is.
does need assistance.
did.
'Cause
He
He just
just
spoke
asked
that
for it.
he needs assistance.
Yes,
He
not
just
assistance.
wrote that.
I received that.
Yeah, or he doesn't need it, he's requesting.
He's requesting
He's,
it.
he's receiving assistance, he's realizing
Correct.
that he does
And he doesn't need
want
it.
to receive assistance.
And I've heard the request, and I'm like, okay, I'm present to what's happening, and here's where I'm at with it.
And
Okay.
We can talk further later, and just until pin it for now or something.
so now with that, I'd like to ask you again, why is it important to convey this idea?
Because we're on a mission here, and we have.
To you specifically, why is it important for you to convey this
Because
idea?
it's in me. It's like, it's the next step. I feel it. It's energy, emotion. It's alive, and that's just what happens when it's like to not honor what this is would be a disservice. So I let it out.
This is an interesting experience for me because in this, we've had a few dips here, and then I've definitely, I'm a veteran of ups and downs in business and so forth. And I, on this one, this is kind of like the third one for Earthwaking. They're kind of pretty serious. And I had zero fear, zero concern, zero trepidation about the future, 100% confidence in John and us and the mission and what we're here for, and it's going to work out, and it can't really be any other way, just given, our fellowship and our desire to serve. And I love that John is making requests and being in communication. That feels like a great for him. But in the past, I have had guilt and shame about not either doing John's role or doing it with him. And yet, it's not possible. Like, he's doing his role, and he's deep, deep, deep in it. And is he, I'll say, he's not infallible. I've never related to the such. I'm clear that some people do. I can hear it. But I do not. So I don't need him to be perfect. I don't need him to be right every time. I don't need him to say the right thing all the time. I can see the arc. I can see the curve. To assist him is a very subtle thing, because I can tell you what it isn't, and it isn't smashing up against him with conclusions and driven strategies to try to force it down his throat, and I won't tolerate it. So that's two things. It doesn't work, and I won't tolerate it, because I've done it and I've seen it done. And so there is a way to support him, and it's just underneath the surface here, but it has not risen yet.
Question for you, Kirk.
I love all that.
What's the arc that you're seeing?
Success over time. So while I could assess John as being a little up and down every now and then with various things that I monitor and look at, I could assess that maybe from 5 minutes ago to now there's a dip. But the arc is the likes of which I've never seen.
That's good.
And including myself, which I've only seen a couple, 2 or 3 people who went into this work the way I did. And John has surpassed me in many ways, and maybe not in others, but the arc is undeniable. And that's where I choose to observe the fruit.
Thank you guys so much for doing stuff like this and speaking up in these ways. And I feel like that's really supportive. It's really great to know, you think, even if you don't even fucking see what you think you see, see. At least you care so much that you're going to speak up and keep going. And it's just really beautiful. Like, and all of that, I don't know what the you're pointing at exactly, but I can see your heart. I can see, like, this is your baby and you care about it. And I can see Kirk's commitment to, like, oh, you feel something, and here's a better way for you to have that be received if there is something there. And so that's what I hear. I hear that he's not shutting you down. I hear that he knows that you're intuitive and there's something there for you. And there's going to be upgrades in how you have that.
Got one more upgrade for you. The reason why we might be we've discussed other reasons. Another reason why we might be having difficulty hearing your commitment is this might be your box. Like if I sat down and sat around and tried to explain the visionary program, like, well, what about this? Or what about that? It would be like an endless series of conversations. I had to just build it. Like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. All right, so this could be that for you. This could be your divine box, and the reason we can't hear it is because it's for you. I don't know. I'm not saying that is so, but that's another reason why it can be difficult to hear somebody who's not a computer.
I just heard that so loud. Wow.
If we tried to talk about Awaken Life Live, it would just never land.
And if that
We're going to
wasn't
trigger the fuck out
spirit,
of people, and you know,
if that wasn't spirit and it wasn't her, this is my,
yeah.
if it wasn't spirit and it was her significance, she would eventually just kind of back down and let it go. But spirit doesn't let you do that. It keeps pushing you, even though I don't know how to fucking say this. I don't know how to be like, it's not landing. I don't know how to do it, but that doesn't go. It doesn't die out. It's just you keep cultivating it until it does come.
Definitely say welcome to our home on a normal basis, which is pointing something out in me. So there probably is definitely something there, because anytime she sniffs something, she's onto something. So
Yeah. So stay with it, and we'll give you our listening, and we'll just all listen and speak from love, and we'll get to you now. We'll get tomorrow.
Love you guys. Thank you.
I feel like what you're
This,
saying
by the
is-
way, would be great to lead from.
I had 3 people watch this happen.
Lead from this on Wednesday.
An invitation that I do.
I feel like what you're saying is something that I've also said. Where are the level 5s that have a lot of money, right? They've got to exist, but we can't seem to find them. I don't know how to find them.
And that's a clear target.
Well, this is
They do exist, I'm sure they do, but they're not in our reality.
Is that what you're pointing to?
That's right.
This is-
Isn't that what you're
it's-
saying? Go
it's-
after the clean people.
yes.
Yes.
The competent
It's the
already
problem, our
doing it.
problem's been just finding them.
Because if they're in 5, they're good. They're already
Well,
building
imagine
kingdom.
another.
They're
Imagine
already
yeah.
us for anything.
They're all on mountaintops around the planet.
We need to come together and collaborate. That's what we need them for.
Correct.
Is we need to collaborate with them so we can build their kingdom.
Yeah.
what about like the actors, you know, like some of the actors that like
For real.
Jim Carrey, for instance, he like left his whole thing and
There
like
have been people
like he got so into character he
can't
realized like this can't actually be me, and like, you know, woke up, if you will, from
Yeah.
it all, and
Yeah.
you know, whatever journey he's on now.
Yeah.
But he's the kind of dude that probably is living on top of a mountain somewhere and just, you know, chilling. And there's a group of people like that, like a lot of like famous people, if they didn't kill themselves, you know, some people did wake up and like disappear, you know.
There's one or two popular choices.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Dave Chappelle has a couple of stand-ups that have come out, and he vanished for years. And people are
Yeah.
like, drug addict, big deal, and I'll tell you, the shit he talks about in his stand-ups are really like, they
Oh,
make
that's
you go,
true.
like,
Saying that Dave Chappelle
is
is
he
level
serious
5.
right now? Like, is he, you know, and they're like, nah, I'm just kidding, but like everything he said
Yeah,
is
man,
not
he's
true
doing
at
it.
all. And it's like, wow, where have you been the
So
last 10
great. I
years,
want
you
to
know?
listen to more of his stuff.
So, it's pretty cool. So there's a group out there.
I'm about to leave.
All right, I got a direct question for you, Kurt, and it's a different direction, and it's related to the listening and speaking from love masterclass. I want to invite people to it because I see how much value there is to it, and my question is like, is it available to the public? And if so, is there like a nature coin amount to join? Is there a fiat to join? That's like 3 questions in one. That's my question.
You ready for more people? It's open. It's 100.
I had an inspiration around it being master class to offer to visionaries as well.
Okay.
I don't know if they're two
Okay.
separate things.
That's fine. We'll handle it separately. That's a good idea. $197. Is that it for everybody?
And it's for the public,
Yeah.
Oh, 200 nature point. 200 nature point.
which would be
It was for a
$600.
certain- It was for a certain period.
It was expensive. Yeah, but I made it lifetime.
So is it's evergreen now?
It's evergreen now.
And I can
200
reach out
Bitcoin, yes.
to the public,
Yes.
$600 or 200 each.
Yes.
Very cool.
And if they can do a work trade, that could be a good.
Okay,
That's how one way we can work together.
yes.
Yep.
So you hold two apparently contradictory contexts simultaneously, and I'm choosing to understand, and I'd love to hear how you're holding them at the same time. Like there's an overall arc that's
Yeah.
going